No audio? How could I have no audio? I mean, really? Oh, it's Marie. Welcome. Glad to have you. Good to see you. I've been waiting to do this show for weeks, and I'm really excited about it because I like this kind of geeky kind of stuff. Now she hears me. May have been on the hearing end, not the talking end. Maybe not. Oh, hold on. Let's get the chin light on there. There we go. I've got interesting lighting going on today, so yeah, forgive me for that. It's Vitale. All right. My condolences. Yep. It's not easy. All right. Full disclosure, even though the graphics showed Tess on the show, she's not really on the show today. I just wanted to compare her modeling skills to my modeling skills. Yep. Yeah, it's a simple setup. I mean, it's just, just the green screen. And it, it's funny with these kind of shows. You see what you see, and I see what should be there, what didn't happen, what was supposed to happen but didn't happen. Like, it's supposed to be the chat right there, but that got gummed up somehow. I don't know. The URL for the chat changed, and generally it's 192.168. What was it? Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, .80, and it got changed arbitrarily to 114. And so the shortcuts that were, the screenshots that were of that particular URL as a web browser just don't work because there's nothing there. So I tried to get it fixed, but you know how that goes. Yeah, you know how that goes. Welcome. Glad to have you guys. Glad to lemonade. There we go. That's better. That's better. So yeah, you'll have to forgive well, you don't have to, but I'd like it if you'd forgive the lack of preparation today. Hello, Alan Bunt. Because people like Alan Bunt keep bugging me. Al, bless his heart, has had back-to-back electrical surges at Good Shepherd Lutheran that knocked out gear the first time and then knocked out other gear the second time. So Al, your two PTZ Optics power supplies should be arriving, today's Wednesday, tomorrow. And I think I've got an extra around here that I'll just send you as a backup. But I had two brand new ones sent to you. So I'll send you a bill for those. I'm not going to send you a bill for the one that I find around here. But it's working, and it'll be good for a backup. But PoE is the bomb, dude. PoE, that's the way to go. We're going to be talking about PTZ Optics cameras today, and about the update that PTZ Optics threw out there. But we're also, hang on a second. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. The coolest thing kind of crossed my radar recently, and so I bought some, and it is a box that does 4 HDMI inputs and connects via Thunderbolt 3. And then also has a Thunderbolt 3 daisy chain outlet. And then it looks like it's got a display port on it. Huh. Anyway, we'll be putting these in our store soon. And they're not cheap, but they're a great solution for somebody that wants to put 4 HDMI cameras into a laptop. So there you go. So Al, any tips on surge protection your entire LAN? Yeah, you have to surge protect every device that's plugged in. So every monitor, every anything that's plugged into power that somehow connects through Ethernet to your LAN. And then of course the LAN, the switch has to be power backup. And even then there's no guarantees. But the fact that you guys have had 2 surges, I think that means there's something wrong with the electrical system at the church. And we had that at a church that I used to belong to. There is somewhere on the property a ground rod that goes down into the ground probably 20, 25 feet. And it was put there originally when the church was built, or should have been. And it's possible that that ground rod has become disconnected, or that that the water table may have sunk so low where you are that the ground rod is not in dampish dirt. So next time you're over at the church, find the outside electrical panel or the electric meter, and there should be a copper wire coming out of that, visible, and going to the ground and going to the dirt, to the earth, to the turf, and should be attached to just a little spike sticking up, and that spike should be 20 feet in the ground, whatever your local electrical codes are. But yeah, that could be the reason why you're continuing to get hit. I had a similar situation at an old office I had, and I think one time the building actually caught on fire because of the surge. But it blew out a bunch of stuff, and it was coming in over the telephone lines. This was back when we used telephones. And it was coming in over the telephone lines, and found out that AT&T, their box was not grounded. So you may want to check whoever is your service provider for your internet and or telephones, and make sure that their devices are properly grounded as well. So yeah, grounding is really the key. And then of course, depending on the height of your church, lightning rods are a good idea too. Yep. Hello, Clint. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Hoping to get PoE back online tonight. Well, that's good. Real men don't use backup. Real men cry a lot. Well, it's been a little while since I've cried. Oh, wait, she says, wrong form of backup. There you go. Yeah, and you can actually add surge protection. Marie knows about this, of course. She is an engineer. But they make a lightning arrestor that you can actually put inside the main panel that's supposed to absorb a surge at that point. Yep. And it doesn't plug into anything. It gets hardwired into the system. All right. Jan says you want to protect the entire building from surges. Yep. Except it's not just the power. It's anything that attaches, TV cable, telephone, what else would there be? Water pipes. If they're metal, we have copper piping in our neighborhood. So if somebody next door gets hit, it could come through the water system. Yep. And proper grounding for sure. Yep. And redundancy is not a bad idea. Okay, let's get on with the show, shall we? Oh, you know what? We had a problem. This is a new PC. That's probably why things have changed so much. This is a new PC with the same main SSD as the old PC. So it's a new CPU, more RAM, new motherboard, kind of an upgrade, and we'll do a show on this pretty soon. But what I realized is when I plugged in my good old XK80, 80 key from X Keys, that it had changed its address. So let's go back in real quick and change it. And I'll keep you up to date on what I'm doing here. So let's pull that up. Can we do it that way? And then, nope, we can't do it that way. Okay. So let's, I want to show you my desktop. And then we're going to come here and we're going to look, and you can see MIDI note on. Can we sharpen that image just a little bit? Not right yet. Take my word for it. We'll sharpen it in a minute. MIDI note on channel 2, and then some of them are channel 1. And so what we need to do is go into the MIDI settings and go to channel mappings, and the XKE 8060, we want to put it back on channel 2. Okay. And then all of these that we changed last week from channel 1, from channel 2 to channel 1, we're going to change back. Because I didn't realize what the problem really was last week. So we'll change those back to channel 2. And so that'll address the proper, because these were my keys, my purple keys that start the show. Okay, MIDI note off, overlay 1, pre-share. Let's change those back too. I think I changed those for the show with Ryan last week. He did such a good job. He is so personable. Okay. Yep. Channel 2. A couple more and we'll be done. Channel 2. I wish there was a way to kind of globally do this. Now let's just go through and check and make sure. Okay, there's 2 more, 3 more that I quickly changed last week because I didn't realize what the problem really was. I fixed the wrong problem. Have you ever done that? Fixed a problem that really wasn't a problem, it was just a symptom. Okay, so we got, oh, there's one hanging out there. Yeah, there we go. All right, sorry about that, folks. Close it. Go back here. We'll save this preset. Oh, 5. What is today? The 25th, 22. I save each preset for each show. And then I delete them later. Okay. All right, so if we hit the pink button, we're going to start the show. You ready? Let's go. It worked. Yay. All right. Welcome. Otis is here. Rudy's here. Jan's here. Clint's here. Alan's here. Vitale is here. Holy cow. And Marie, too, of course. Welcome, you guys. Glad to have you. Today, we're going to talk about PTZ Optics cameras and the latest firmware update that the behind-the-scenes geniuses, you know who you are, at PTZ Optics have been working on and released. I guess they actually released it last month. Well, no, it may be this month. Let's see. Yeah, it was just earlier this month, just a couple of weeks ago. But the whole idea is PTZ Optics doesn't release firmware updates very often. I mean, you can go back and look at their changelog and see that they might release one every year, sometimes twice a year, sometimes every other year. I mean, just they've got I think the PTZ Optics camera, the base camera, well, the G1 was the first one. They're on the G2 now, and there's a G3 that's somewhere out there in the future, maybe this summer sometime. But the PTZ Optics G2, G1, G2, that whole series has been out there for 7 or 8 years. And really did you think of an ice-breaking ship, a ship that plows through the ice. They were an icebreaker, and they broke the power. They broke the price point on PTZ cameras, which were previously, $3,000 and up, and $3,000 was the base model. With a camera that was half that price, and have really kind of shocked the industry in that way. And it's been a very reliable, dependable camera, with a couple exceptions. Occasionally it would forget its IP address, and that was a mess to go in and figure out. But they've got all that stuff figured out and worked out. And I want to show some of it to you today because I'm really kind of excited about it. I hope I've got the right QR code up there. Who knows? Hopefully it isn't something from months ago. Anyway, I have taken 2 PTZ cameras, and let's bring those guys into the show. Here they are. There they are. And on the left is a 20X. On the right is a 30X. The 20X is actually a lightly used 20X that we took on trade. So if you're interested in making a deal on a lightly used 20X, we've got that guy available. The 30X to the right of it sold. We're just waiting to bundle everything up. You can see it's surrounded by a couple of PCs we're building, and those one of those cameras will go with one of those PCs. I think it's actually going to go to a baseball venue, a AA. Major League AA or Minor League AA venue out in on the East Coast. Not sure I can release the name, so I'll keep it to myself. Anyway, so we're going to update the firmware on those guys. And in order to update the firmware, you have to use something called the upgrade tool, or is it the update tool? Let's see. I'm going to do a screen share with you guys, but I'm going to sharpen it before I do. There we go. Sharpen it up a little bit. And yeah, let's bring this in. This is the PTZ Optics website, and we are going to go to the Camera and Accessories tab. No, we're not. We're going to go to the Resources tab. There we go. Resources tab, Firmware. And we're going to go to Firmware. And then on the firmware page, we've got 5 choices. But the one down here, the upgrade tool, this is a tool that they've been using for years. That again, I'm lost and I'm not in the shot. So let me put myself in the shot real quick. Hold on. Put me in the shot. There we go. Oh, no, that didn't do it. So let's see. We're going to go to Layers, and we're going to go to number 71, Desktop Capture. We'll put that there. And then we'll go to main shot number 1, and then let's go into, can we crop number 1? I know we can zoom it down. Can we crop it? No, well, yeah, I guess we can crop some of it. Oh, let's don't use number 1. That's what we'll do. We'll use number 6. Nope, won't use number 6. We'll use number 7. Nope, Can we use number 7? We want the bird dog right there. That's the one we want. That's the one we want. So let's just put that guy over there on the side. Shrink him down just a little bit more. Very good. Now I get to be in the picture. All right. So there we go. Now, now I feel more comfortable. All right. So the upgrade tool right here, Windows V 2.8. It started with 2.7. I'm sure it started even before that. But Windows version 2.8 upgrade tool is really, really good. And you can just click it and that'll download it, and then you can unzip it. And once it's unzipped, you know, if you're like me, it'll be in your downloads folder, and I can look down here. There it is. Back in February, I brought it, and this is actually version 2.8C, 2.8C. And so I can go in there, and I have the old MAC address. Now, this is not a Mac PC. This is a MAC address on the camera. I've got the old version MAC address, which is D4, and I know that because I can see it on the camera, on the bottom of the camera. It shows you the D4. So we'll go in here, and it's just a little app. It doesn't have to be installed. It just runs. So it's called upgrade.exe. So we'll run this app. And what this app does is it allows us to go in and make changes to the camera, to the firmware on the camera. So it allows us to make changes to a lot of things. But all right, so let's bring our app back up. In fact, let's just get this web page out of the way, and we'll get that out of the way. There we go. So now we've got this guy, and let me orient you a little bit. We've got some tabs here at the top: search, upgrade, config, backup, preview. Down here, this will populate with the different cameras. Over here, the interface tells us what PC IP address we're working with right now. There should just be one right here because I'm just on one network, but it says 192.168.1.14. That's my PC. So if I want to search on 192.168.1 network, I'll click search here, and it'll find the cameras. Used to be if your cameras had a different IP address, like the default address 192.168.100.88, it wouldn't find them. But they've upgraded this tool. They've upgraded their upgrade tool so that now it'll find your camera no matter what address it is, as long as it's plugged into the same switch, the same local area network. So we can see that I've got 3 cameras here. The top one, .130, is a PT20X that I've got back in the back room, back in my my workshop, and I use for workshop videos. And then the .86 and .88 are the 2 cameras over here. And so we can take a web browser now that we know the IP address. So let's take a web browser and we'll go to 86. Actually, this is 86. We'll log into it again. Do we have to log into it again? Nope. And this is the old interface. The plug-in that did the live feed right here didn't always work. And it was not bad. It was not a bad interface, but they've upgraded it a little bit. And here we can see the software version and the webware version. I think the webware version is this interface, but I'm not sure. And I think the software version is the firmware that got installed on the camera. So let's go back to the upgrade tool, and we're gonna update the firmware. I mean, it's not difficult. We need to get the right firmware, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to come back to PTZ Optics here, and we're going to go to Firmware Files, and we know we have 2 different kinds. We've got a 20X SDI NDI G2, so we'll select that one and select that firmware and get it downloading. And then we have a 30X SDI NDI G2, and so we'll take that. And it's got some of the, doesn't have any of the G1s, but there was an early version of G2 that didn't do PoE. So if you've got that early version, you'll want to make sure you get the right one there. And you definitely want to make sure you get the USB cameras that are sold as USB cameras are definitely different. And then you've got some other firmwares for the SuperJoy and the Simple Track and the Z cams. But let's get the 30X firmware right here. And we'll get that. Yep. And then let's go ahead and go back to our download subdirectory, and we can unzip both of those. They are identified PTZ20X and PTZ30X. So we'll extract all on this one. And there it is right there. It's a .img file, which is the actual firmware. And then here are the firmware instructions. So we'll pop those up, make sure we're doing those right. So we'll drag those in here, and we'll use those in just a second. But let's come back here and go ahead and unzip our 30X as well. So we're going to extract that guy. And there he is. So let's go back to our instructions. Instructions will be the same. And let's make this a little bigger so we can see it a little more easily. There we go. So Firmware Finder, we've done that. We know what firmware we need. You want to read this important information because it is important if you're doing it for the first time. But we're going to scroll through that because we know what we've got. And here this looks familiar. This is the upgrade tool right here. And so we want to basically, we are searching, which we've already done. We've got on the correct network, and we've searched, and they've got a long list of cameras there. And notice how they're actually on different subnets. And so they picked one they want to work with, and the first thing they do is right-click it and click backup. So let's do that here. We're going to pick number 86. We're going to right-click it, and we're going to back it up. Now we want to go ahead and do this process all the way through for one camera. We don't want to try to do two simultaneously. It's not going to work well in that regard. And so we've got the IP address 192.168.1.86, and we're going to click backup. And what that's going to do, and it gives us a name, and we see we've already got a name in the file. That's because we've done backups before to this same file, but that's okay. We're going to save it and then overwrite it. And it says backup success. And what this does is basically any data, anything that's stored in the camera that's specific to that camera, maybe like the MAC address, I'm not sure. Anyway, that gets backed up so that when the firmware update is complete, we're going to load this file back into it again by using restore. So we're back to that screen, backup success. We definitely want to see that. We're going to come back up to the search file, and let's go back to our directions here, and we'll scroll down a little bit, and there's the backup. Yep. Now we're going to do the same thing we just did, except we're going to select upgrade right there at the top, upgrade. And this can be a little confusing, so let's go back to the directions. And it says that we want to make sure we're on the type MDT, and this is not the yard tractor MDT. And then we want to do a query, so that we want to make sure that we're communicating with the camera. So let's go back to our update tool, and we're on MDT, and we're on .86, and so let's do a query. And yes, we've queried the camera, and it told us what the version info is. It's not important to write that down. I guess you can take a screenshot if you want to. And it says load file, and here is a suggested load file. I'm not sure where that came from. So I'm going to go to open, and then I'm going to navigate to, we'll navigate to downloads. Yeah, it looks like that's something I downloaded on the 12th of May. So let's not pay any attention to that one. It may be good, but not sure. So let's go into this one. This is the PT20X. That's the camera. You know what? Which camera are we doing? Do we know which one is the 86 and which one is the 88? We better double check that. Is there a way that we can double check that? Well, we can go into the 86 here, and we can see if one of the cameras turns. And there we go. Okay, so the one on the left is the 20X. All right, so we got that 20X guy. And let's add them down to our shot, shall we? Layers multi-view. This is going to be the number 6 cam. And let's take the zoom down. So we've got that guy over there. So if we're moving cameras again, now we can see which camera we're moving. We're moving the left camera, which is the 20X. So we're on the right track. We've got the right firmware going to the right camera. So we're going to go 20X right here. We're going to select that image file. We're going to open it. And then we're going to click Upgrade. Now, this can take a while. Don't be concerned if it pauses at one point. We're here at 10% waiting for the upgrade to start. I'm not sure what we're waiting for. You know, what are we waiting for? Oh, there we go, transmitting. And it used to be at 85% where we are now. It would sit for 5 minutes. And people would become concerned and they'd unplug the power from their cameras and they'd brick their cameras by accident. So don't be impatient here. Let this do its thing. In fact, it says file verify succeed, and it's upgrading, which is misspelled, but that's okay. We'll allow them to have that little flaw if everything else works well. So yeah. So we're going to let that sit at 85% for a second. And we're on camera .86, and we can confirm that because we can see that right here. And we can see it up here. And we probably won't be able to move the camera right now because it's currently occupied with something else. While it's occupied with something else, let's go back to the firmware files for just a second. And we'll go to Resources, Firmware, and we're going to go to the changelog. And so this will give us an opportunity. Well, let's just pick the 20X SDI. And here's the changelog. May 6th, this version, SOC version 6.3.20. And here's what we are able to do. Some of this is Greek to me, but some of it is pretty important. Like, for example, down here, number 9. Number 9, it doesn't really mention it, but I think this is the first appearance of SRT in this camera's interface. So it has the ability to stream SRT in the same way that it could stream to Facebook or YouTube by putting in a URL and a stream key. It will now do SRT. And once we get this one upgraded, we can take a look at it. Let's see how we're doing here. We're still at 85%, so be patient. Let's see, it added a VSCA over IP command to enable or disable the RTMP streaming, and that's good because it used to be with the RTMP streaming. Oh, did you see the camera reset itself? Yeah, I bet we're just about done. Yeah, we're at 98%. It used to be that when you set the camera up to do RTMP streaming, that when the camera came on, it started streaming. Once it did its little dance to make sure, you know, all its joints were working, and its lens was working. Once it did that dance, then it would start streaming, and it would stream until the power was cut off from the camera. Now, apparently, we have a way to turn that on and turn that off. So you can set it up to stream, but it won't stream unless you tell it go. And that's cool. That's cool. There are times when you might want to make it stop without having access to the power. Okay, we're going to put that guy behind us for just a second. It updated the camera's web interface and available options, and it did a good job with that. There was a nice visual improvement to the web interface, and they added some things that we'll go in and see when this guy updates. And let's see, the camera's standby light will now be illuminated when it's set to standby mode via VISCA over IP. Apparently that didn't happen before. It supports NTP time zones that are half time zones. And then fixed a bug and then added some HTTP GCI commands. And I think it did some other things. Let's go back and take a look here. Upgrade is successful. Okay, that's great. So now we got to go back and restore this guy. If we go back to our directions here, let's see. Do we have the file? Yeah, there we go. Let's go. We got to go back to backup. Oh, did we skip over something here? Let's scroll back. Yeah, okay, somehow we got back in time. So we'll go back up, upgrade, query, put in the find the file. Yep, we loaded the file. And now we're going to go back to backup again. So here's the tool. And we're going to go back. We are 100% done here, so we're going to go back to search. 86 is our camera. We're going to go back to backup, and we're going to do a restore. And we're going to select that same data.tar.gz file that we had before. We're going to open it, and it says status restoring. So we'll let it buzz, click, and whir for a minute. And we have a little view there of the cameras, so we can see if they're going to, or if the left guy is going to do anything. And it is restoring. So obviously we really couldn't do anything with the other camera at the same time, and that's a good thing. That wouldn't be very smart to do, I don't think. Oh, doing her little dance. So she must be getting close to being done. And restore success. Okay, so now we are done with this camera. And this was .86. We'll go up here to .86, and let's just do a refresh here. And it's going to ask for the username, which is admin, and the password, which is admin. And we're going to sign in, and we're going to save that. And the first thing we notice is we have video. We have video we didn't have before. Now this camera is only connected by Ethernet, PoE, so it's got power, but it is now transmitting video to the web interface over Ethernet. This is not an NDI camera. This is just over IP. So this is live. So we can scroll the camera. Can we scroll? Can we see me? Yeah, there we go. That's the best shot we're going to get of me. And we can see that we've got the ability here to go to the OSD menu. And the OSD menu we now see on the screen right here, which allows us to make some changes. I'm not sure. I think there's some things that are in the OSD menu that are not in this web interface menu. So you'll have to go through and check that. And you use these buttons right here. So let's go to noise reduction. And we'll click the home button as a way to select noise reduction. And we see that we've got 2 levels of noise reduction for whatever case it would be. And then to go back, we're going to come down here to the back button to go back to the menu. And then we're going to go back again. Nope. Well, how about home? Nope, home just takes us out. How do we get out of here? Oh, we're going to go OSD to PTZ. There we go. And the menu's gone. All right, so that's our menus. We can also do zoom in, zoom out, focus in, focus out. So we've got those controls from here, and we can set speeds on that. So we can set, if we want to have a really slow pan speed, we can set the pan speed down to 1, and now as we're panning, it's much slower than it was before. 10 was the speed it was set up for default, and we'll see 10's a pretty fair speed, but it looks like, holy cow, it looks like we can go all the way up to 24, which is yeah, which is a blur. That's just a blur. So let's set it back. We'll set it back to 10 because that's the default. It looks like we've got the same kind of changes we do here. We come over to the video tab, and we've got the video settings look like the same as they were before. We've got the first stream and second stream, which are as before. This would be if we wanted to take an IP feed, this would govern what the IP feed. So in vMix, this would be a stream input, and you would put in the IP address prefaced by an RTMP or RTSP : and then the IP address followed by a /1 would be for this first stream, which would be a 1920 by 1080, or 2, which would give you the second stream. In this case, would be a 320 by 240. But you can make those changes as you want to. On the image tab, we've got the image, number one, but we can also set the brightness, saturation, contrast, sharpness, hue, and flip it or mirror it, and be able to see it at the same time. This is one of the biggest upgrades, I think, in the firmware upgrade, is that you can finally see the video from the camera. So this is a big deal. The audio tab, I don't think anything's changed here. There is a 3.5 millimeter mic jack on the camera, which apparently, it's a line-in jack. It's not a mic jack, so it's a line-in jack. Here on the System tab, we have the ability to reboot. We can set our IR channel. We can change our password. On the network channel, we can change the IP configuration address. Now, it used to be that this camera came stock with a fixed IP address, and we've got the 30X in just a second that we'll have a look at. In fact, let's just have a look at it right now. That's 192.168.1.88. And this is the 30X. And so let's see. Yeah, the network address is set for a fixed address. And I would probably suggest, setting that for a dynamic address, because it's going to make, well, now that they fixed the upgrade tool, I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's go back to the new version. In fact, you can see the difference in the interface. This is the older version, and this is the newer version. A little cleaned up, I think. This is also where you can set the RTMP settings for the live stream. And so you can set the what they're calling the MRL, which is actually a combination of the URL and the stream key. So if it was a YouTube address, for example, it would have the YouTube URL / and then the YouTube stream key after that. And then down here are the SRT settings, and these are definitely new. So you've got the ability to go listener or caller. The rendezvous is not an option here, but you can set your server, your port, encryption, password, etc. Excuse me just one sec. Goodness gracious. I used to have a mute button, but apparently I disabled that for some reason. Okay, and here's the NTP settings, so you can go to a half time zone if you wanted, if we were going to sync it. But we're not going to do that. And we'll go to information here, and then it tells us that we've updated our software version. We can change the name of the camera up here, but I think the rest of this data would not be good. So we're going to call this a PTZ Optics 20X, not to be confused with any of the others, and we'll reboot the camera. So we should see that guy dance, and it says down here, you can't see it. Can I pull this window up? No, it says data update successful right below the camera. So apparently it's not going to reboot it. All right, so that is the 20X updated. The 20X updated. So yeah, and I realized that you guys didn't see a lot of that. So let's do it again with the 30X. So we're going to go to the 30X. We'll have to search. There it is, 88. We're going to right click. We're going to back up. We're going to back it up. We've already got the data.tar.gz, so we'll just overwrite it. There we go. Backup success. We'll go back to search. We'll go back to 88. We're going to go to upgrade. And we're going to do a query. So we've got the query right there. There we go. And now that we're doing a query, let's go ahead and open. We want to navigate to the right file, which is going to be the 30x file. And so we will upgrade with that. There we go. So we're at 10%. It's going to stay at 10% for a little while, and then it's going to jump to 85 for a couple of minutes, and then it'll jump back. What's in the background, of course, right above me is the 20x, the video from the 20x. The 30x, let's see, do we have the, yeah, this is the 30x. Don't know that we have any access to it now. No, we don't, because it's being updated. So let's go back here. Yeah, we're still at 85%. It's going to be there at 85% for a few minutes. What did it take last time? About 2 or 3 minutes, something like that. 2 or 3 minutes. So, and we've got the 20x that we do have the ability to control from right here, which, you know, I guess in a pinch, if this is all you've got it. Let's go back to our tool. Yeah, we're still at 85% there. And we're not going to be tempted to change anything in this little app until we're done with this process. We don't want to go searching around and accidentally do something that would brick the camera. Although I think they probably protected it against ourselves. One funny thing on the search page, you saw me select, well, you didn't see me select, but you saw me highlight the IP address of my PC, the 192.168.1.114. If I had Wi-Fi on this same PC, that would show up as a second network. If I had 2 NIC cards and Wi-Fi, it would show up that I had 3 networks. Even if I had a network that I was not logged into, it would show it, but it would not let me log into it. It would not let me use it. So you've got the ability, if you've got multiple networks that you're connected to, multiple NICs on your PC or Wi-Fi, you can navigate to whichever one of those networks the camera is on. Okay, file, verify, succeed, upgrading. We're at 98%, and the camera is resetting. That's the 30x on our right, one with the orange cable. And so she's at 98%, and we'll go to her web page in just a second and see if we can see video there. That's pretty cool that they fixed this video part. And I like that you can do SRT from the camera. This is gonna be I think this is gonna be pretty cool. Because if you can do SRT from the camera directly, you can control the camera, so you can, yeah. And you could do SRT from the camera and probably also take out SDI or HDMI or both, and maybe even IP. I'll have to test that. I don't know that I'm going to be able to test all that today. I don't have a SRT partner. There we go. There's a reboot, and it says upgrade success. So that's great. We're going to come back over to search. We're going to right click that camera. We're going to go to backup. We're going to go to restore. We're going to get the data tar.gz. We're going to open that, and it says backup status restoring. And we'll give it just a second to restore that backup file. I don't remember whether it rebooted the camera after the backup file was restored or not. I guess we'll find out the answer to that question momentarily. And so, yep, it does. So it's rebooting the camera for us, and when the camera is back from being rebooted, it'll be ready for us to look at the new interface on it. So restore success. That's great. Let's come up here to .88. We'll do a refresh here. And we'll do our secret passwords, our secret login and our secret password. And we'll save those. And it looks like, how about that? We've got video on this guy too. And so how about that? And there's the little 20X buddy right next to him. And we can come down into the information and see that we've got the sock. This is a PTZ Optics. We're going to call this a 30X, and we'll submit it. And we'll reboot the camera. It says it's rebooting the camera, but I don't think it really did. We see it's got a fixed IP address, so we're going to change that over to dynamic. Reboot the camera to change that. It says an update successful behind the picture over there on the far right of the screen. You can't see it. And everything else is as we want it. Yep, look at there. How about that? How about that? How about that? That is cool. That is cool. I'm really excited about that, because I think that's for people, especially for new folks that are setting up a camera for the first time. When you go into the web interface and then you can't see the image, that's a little unsettling. It's like, okay, is my camera not working? You know, how do I know that it's working? You know, and the fact that the upgrade tool will now find the camera no matter what subnet it's on. I think it might be, yeah, probably no matter what subnet it's on, or even if it's set for the default address, and you're not using that particular network, that particular subnet. Yeah, I think they're very good. So the the comments in the chat, yeah, I did realize about 3/4 of the way through that demonstration that you couldn't see a thing I was doing. So we'll put some notes in the video on YouTube to fast forward to the second part when we did show it. What a rookie mistake. What an idiot mistake. Golly gee, yeah. You know, it's the kind of thing only an idiot would do. So there. If you've been holding off on a camera purchase, you know, I think you'll find that the PTZ Optics brand is a very reliable, dependable brand, and has gotten even more rock solid than they have before. They're not throwing firmware updates out a lot. It's a mature product, and they have matured it even more. You know, we've gone from 1,000 grit sandpaper to 3,000 grit sandpaper, the level of refinements we're making now. Probably the three biggest refinements I see are, number one, SRT, number two, the ability to turn off and on RTMP streaming. And let's go see if we can find that here in just a second. And then bringing the actual live video into the interface. So let's go back to the 30X here for just a second. And let's see if we can find where this streaming would be. I mean, I guess this is the on and off right here. And I guess that's how you turn it off and on. Unless there's some other button somewhere else. This is the live page. This is the video page. These streams are not to be confused with, because they don't have any addresses. They don't have any destinations with them. Image we've got, audio we've got, system we've got. So it should be, we're back to system for just a second. No, don't see anything there. So the network page, the RTMP streaming right here, the on-off, we'll have to test that and see if it goes off-on. I don't see anything else about that. Yeah, Don't see it. So that must be it. We'll have to check. We'll have to play around with that and check that after the fact. So yeah. So there's a lot to like, I think, in this firmware update, and I think it enhances the PTZ Optics reputation as being a reliable practical camera. And for houses of worship especially, I think you're going to find this to be a really, really good choice, because it's not going to need to be updated frequently, if at all. I mean, the update if this is the last firmware update that they ever make to this camera, other than fixing the misspelling in the in the upgrade tool, yeah, I think they've got a winner. I think we've got a very mature product, and a hat tip to the folks at PTZ Optics. This has gone longer than I intended, probably because of my mistake. We're going to pop over here to post show, and I will bask in your criticism. So sit tight. We'll be right back. Okay, well, there we go. So sometimes people are not as smart as they think they are. And that would be me at the front of the line on that one. So sorry about that. What an idiot mistake. But I could see it perfectly. I don't know why you couldn't see it. Oh my gosh. I can't wait till he finally sees the comments. That's great. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see if we can update with some of these. Let's find our guy here. We want to go to social. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. So that would be this one right here. There we go. So yeah, I can't wait till he finally sees the comments. How did we get 2 of those? That's crazy. Go figure. So let's see. Let's try one more time. We'll do look at that. Isn't that something? I have no idea how I did that. And if I want to repeat it, I'll never figure it out. So Al, once he gets power back and power cables, he's going to do it. Yeah, I should have used that as my excuse, Bill. That would make sense. This is top secret. Sorry, I can only tell you about it, but I can't show it to you. So there we go. So Al, we'll see you later. We will see you on the flip side. And yes, vMix does do emojis now for their, what do you call that thing? For vMix Social. Craziness, isn't it? Glad to see that Rudy's going to be at IBC. I think I'm trying to decide whether to go or not. That is true, Bill. Yep, I think we ought to. I think we ought to. He was a good friend. He was a good friend. Yeah. Let's see how we're doing here. We're doing good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap up this this show, and I need apparently I have some cards, some YouTube cards to say. Fast forward to this part if you really want to see it. But that's okay. So I will catch you guys next week. Yep, next week we'll be heading. We'll actually be heading out of town for a little bit, but then back in town just in time. So yeah, my mom's having her 88th birthday, 89th birthday. Oh golly. So we have to go celebrate with that. So there, yeah. So guys, I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Catch you later.